Dude, Cowboys -1. That's probably my worst pick. What up, YouTube?
Okay. Are you ready?
Yeah.
All right. 3, 2, 1.
Welcome to Around the 412. We are part of allsteelers.com and proudly presented by Crowworthy, where winners are serving winners coast to coast with sports, gambling, and more. You can follow Crowworthy on Twitter at Crowworthy, and you can visit us at crowworthy.com. You can also check out the Crowworthy Pittsburgh City page for podcasts just like this one, blogs, sports, fantasy, and more. I'm Tyler, and with me as always is Smitty. What is going on, man? How you doing today?
I'm 6-0, so I'm doing pretty well.
Yeah.
Got the official sideline hoodie of the Pittsburgh Steelers on. I am a little bummed that we aren't doing the show with Brian Hayes today, but hey, it just gives us Wednesday to look forward to now. So just a temporary push off of the show. We'll be back on Wednesday with him. But yeah, we're going to talk some Steelers and then some NFL bets a little bit later in the show. So yeah, I'm pretty pumped. Can't complain. We're going to get into the game. I feel like a lot of stuff we're going to talk about may have already been talked about on last night's post-game show, but here we are.
Yeah, I got to say, I'm really excited for one of two reasons. Well, first I'll say I am a little bit bummed that we didn't get Brian today, but that sucks. We get it Wednesday, so still happening. But we are 6-0. That's the first thing. Second thing, Man on the Moon 3 from Kid Cudi is happening, and I am so excited about it because I've been waiting for this album for 10 years.
Oh, wow.
Man on the Moon 1 came out in 2008. Man on the Moon 2 came out in 2010. So it's been 10 years since the last Man on the Moon came out.
Why did Man on the Moon 3 come out in 2012?
I don't know. Kid Cudi just didn't want to do it. But anybody that knows me knows I love Kid Cudi and I love Man on the Moon 1 and 2. But 1, I put it in my top 5 favorite hip-hop / rap albums ever. So, yeah, I'm very excited. So I'm happy for multiple reasons today.
Okay, well, there you have it. If you missed our episode with Steelers linebacker Ulysses Gilbert, I recommend you go back and watch or listen to that. There was a lot of stuff that was talked about that we ended up seeing play out on the field yesterday. Without looking, I was really hoping that I could see on Pro Football Reference that the snap counts for yesterday's game would be out already. Apparently they don't come out till at least later today or tomorrow because I was looking and they weren't there. However, I did see unofficially on Twitter, it looks like Ulysses played about 25% of the snaps, which is what I was looking for. So kind of what I guess he expected, kind of substituting in there on third downs and stuff like that. But Robert Spillane's a guy that I think that we need to talk about for a portion of this show. I mean, the heart that he displayed yesterday. But I got to tell you guys about Manscaped first. And you might notice Robert Spillane's going to get a shout out in this ad read. So football is back, people, and that means it's time to throw on your team's colors and make sure you don't fumble your grooming below the waist. Our partners at Manscaped are here to save your boys from a Robert Spillane hit so you can stay clean and take care of yourself where it matters most. Manscaped is here with a surefire touchdown with the best tools for your grooming experience. Manscaped has redesigned the electric trimmer. The Manscaped engineering team has spent 18 months perfecting the greatest ball hair trimmer ever. The Lawnmower 3.0 is simply the best hygiene tool for the modern man. Because of the ceramic blade and skin-safe technology, your snags will be reduced. Their Perfect Package 3.0 comes with a new and improved lawnmower. It's waterproof. It's got a cordless trimmer. Comes with a box of briefs and a travel bag for when you are done quarantining. Hopefully that's sooner rather than later. Who knows? 2020 has been hell. We hope 2021 brings better. Perfect Package 3.0 also comes with the Crop Preserver and Crop Reviver, a.k.a. the ball deodorant and the ball toner. We mention them by those names. We never actually use them by their technical terms, but there they are right there in Tyler's hands. The Crop Preserver is an anti-chafing ball deodorant, which ensures that your afternoon stroll doesn't end with your balls sticking to your leg. The Crop Reviver is a spray-on toner for your balls. It's made with soothing aloe and witch hazel extracts that will give your balls that boost that you always need. You can find these products and more at manscaped.com, and you can use the code 412 at checkout for 20% off plus free shipping. Again, code 412 at checkout at manscaped.com, and you will get 20% off plus free shipping. That might have been the cleanest I've done it.
Probably. No stuttering, no laughing. Yeah, it was a good ad read.
You know, the laughing is really where it comes into play because
yeah, I mean the first week we did it, whenever you were I think you read it before the show to me, and I was just like, I don't know how you're gonna get through this.
Yeah, I remember. I think Hunter was actually on that episode because I had to do it previously with Donnie.
Yeah, right.
First time I read it, yeah.
Just a bunch of innuendos that are easy to catch, but they're funny nonetheless. But the products work; they're great. So yeah, use code 412.
And I got an email recently that there's going to be some new ad reads as we transition closer to the holidays. So, you know,
I wonder what they're going to say for that.
Within the next month or so, we're going to see some new holiday ad reads. So we're excited about that. But yeah, let's get into football. I know there's a couple people in chat already. Welcome if you're in here. If you're listening back and want to be part of that, head to youtube.com/c/around the 412 and you can join in on the live show experience with us. Mike, what's going on? I'm really hoping that parlay hits for you. You're always, super generous with the Rock Around the 412 and with our brand in general. So, I mean, obviously I hope that it hits just for you personally, but I know that you want to help out Rock Around the 412 more than you already have, which you don't have to do, but I can say that a million times and you won't listen to me. So, and Logan, I see you're in here as well already. What's going on? Yeah, super pumped up about being 6-0. Obviously, it wasn't all great. The first half was pretty much as much of a clean first half as you could ask for. But it ended, with that interception. And while we're not thinking about it much at the time, for the Steelers, it's kind of like whatever. We left 3 points on the board, but we have this huge lead going into half. We feel like we have them where we want them. On the reverse side of that, for the Titans, they're probably using that as a little bit of a momentum swing. And I think that showed in the third and fourth quarters where, it comes down to a missed field goal. The Steelers kind of just hanging on to secure the win.
Yeah, they definitely did. I mean, you look at the box score for the first half and the second half. Steelers scored 24 points in the first half, led up 7. And then in the second half, they only scored 3 points, and the Titans end up scoring 17. We're lucky they didn't score more off the turnovers and that last drive, the field goal missed. But it's just a weird thing how momentum can really play a factor in these games. It's a mental thing, but still, like it is literally 2 different teams on each half, and I don't really know if there was a certain point where I guess like, hey, this is what flipped the switch. Maybe it was that interception going into halftime that gave the Titans a little bit of life, but still, I hope that we see the Steelers from the first half going into this upcoming week rather than the second half.
I think the interception did play into that. I really think the big play was the A.J. Brown touchdown. I think at that point, Tennessee was back in a position where they could play to their strengths and still have Derrick Henry involved on the ground, because had they not scored that, then they're still like in a position where they're down 3 scores. You can't really run the ball. I mean, they can involve Derrick Henry a little bit, catch and pass out of the backfield. That's not really his game, but you're taking away what Tennessee wants to do on offense when you go up by 3 possessions. So, I mean, with that touchdown to me just completely flipped the script. It got Tennessee back in this football game. And, it wasn't just the defense obviously didn't look great in the second half. The offense wasn't doing anything either. The offense was putting the defense back out there right away. The one thing that was good about the offense pretty consistently throughout the game was the third downs. They converted them at a pretty high rate, which is good to see, obviously. But yeah, just a tale of 2 halves. And that's the way I worded it on our notes and on the tweet that I put out about what we're going to be talking about, is because it was. I mean, it was like 2 different football games that come down to a field goal at the end. And, fortunately enough for us, Gostkowski has had his fair share of missed kicks this year, going all the way back to the opener. Nails a 51-yarder in this game, but then misses the 46-yarder that would have tied it. So I think that Tennessee deserves a ton of credit for getting back into this game. I don't know. Do you credit them more for getting back into this game, or do you fault the Steelers for letting it happen?
Yes.
Both.
I would say both, because there's no denying that the Titans are a good team. from top to bottom. They just are. So if anybody wants to say, oh, the Steelers still haven't played anybody, well, that's a bunch of bull crap. I mean, Titans are a very good team. So I do credit for them for coming back the way that they did. But I also look at the way the Steelers were playing. There was just a lot of stupid mistakes, a lot of flukes, like that bad interception that was literally batted down at the line of scrimmage. It really went up and landed in a linebacker's hands. I mean, there's nothing you can really control about that. So, yeah, it's just a little bit of both. And like you mentioned, the AJ Brown touchdown that happened at 9 minutes and 47 seconds left in the third quarter. And you were right. That is plenty of time to be able to run Derrick Henry, do the game you want to do. Because it's not like that was 9 minutes and 47 seconds left in the fourth quarter. They still had a ton of game left. And then you mentioned the third down conversion. So the Steelers for the game were 13 of 18 on third down, which, I mean, if you look at that as a whole, that's awesome. But when you look at where those happens, where those missed happens, I feel like I can't see it on the stat sheet, but I feel like all of them happen within that third quarter and probably the earlier parts of that fourth quarter. Mm-hmm. So it's a very pivotal parts of the games, and it really just ties into how the second half played out. And I don't know if you can attribute that like all to play calling or just the execution on the field or silly mistakes or just flukes, like I mentioned, but still, it was just a avalanche of all these things happening on the Steelers all at once, and it was going in the Titans' favors immensely until the last drive and a half of the Steelers.
Yeah, I mean, I think that they did take their foot off the gas, and that's the one thing is we said can't happen, and hopefully they'll learn from it and not do it against Baltimore should they be in the position similar to this week, which, I mean, hey, sign me up for that. But I think that too, I think you need to look at it big picture once the game's over, and there's obviously things you want to clean up. But as Logan just mentioned, I mean, you tell me before the game starts, we're going to win by a field goal and hold Derrick Henry to 75 yards rushing on 20 carries. I mean, sign me up for that. I think it was just frustrating for us to watch how it played out and not looking at just the box score or the big picture, the Steelers won this football game, because at the end of the day, that's all that matters. So obviously happy to come out of it with a W, but you still have a little bit of things that you're going to question and want cleaned up, because now you're playing a Baltimore team, which even though Tennessee was the opponent that we played that was undefeated going against them, I think Baltimore's a better team than Tennessee.
I do too. And you mentioned taking your foot off the gas. They definitely did that. And it's one thing if you do that, if you go up big and do that against a team like the Jets, for example. They might not be able to come back in a way that a team like Tennessee or the Ravens would, but I agree. The Ravens are the better team all around. I think their defense is stronger than Tennessee's. I think their offense is more potent than Tennessee's when their offense is working. Now, their offense needs to get going because their offense is more so one-dimensional than I believe Tennessee's did, and we kind of alluded to that on the post-game show yesterday. We think Tennessee could pass the ball a little bit better with Ryan Tannehill with the play action. But I agree. Overall, the Ravens are a better team, so you cannot let up whatsoever this game.
Yeah, and I think I'm more so looking at it on the other side, because Tennessee's defense, we talked about the third down offense of the Steelers, so it's kind of a trend that continues for Tennessee because they are the worst team defensively against third downs in football. So from an offensive standpoint, they're pretty similar, maybe even a little bit of an edge to Tennessee. But talk about the defense, the advantage is definitely to Baltimore. I think this is going to easily be the Steelers' toughest matchup of the year. So I'm excited for this game, though. I mean, this is once again, talking about last week. Are you like a little bit nervous about it? Sure. But that's you're supposed to be. That's, what makes these games so special. So very excited about it. Is it going to stick in 1 o'clock? I mean, CBS is probably going to protect this game.
I imagine this one will probably be similar to this past week, where it'll probably be the most nationally televised 1 o'clock game for CBS. They'll lock it up.
Yeah. I mean, so CBS is going to protect it. But the thing is, I think that they could move it to 4 o'clock, just still on CBS.
Okay.
So that's what I'm curious about. I know it's not going to Sunday Night Football because I don't know what would have to happen to pay CBS to give this game up. I just don't see it happening. Logan said, do you think Baltimore feels good about this matchup after seeing how the Titans game played out? You're right. If we do that against the Ravens, we lose. For the Ravens, yeah, they got to sit back and watch this game. I'm sure a lot of them were watching this game, watching the way that it played out on their bye week. I think that the Ravens have to feel pretty comfortable about it. They're going to have a new face in Yannick Ngakoue on the defensive line as well, which he improves that roster. Him and Calais Campbell back together. We saw them in that 2017 Jaguars team that kind of made a miracle run and then sucked after that. But those two guys were a force there. And, the Ravens, I don't think that you can take them lightly. But again, if you make them one-dimensional, make Lamar a pocket passer, That's how you're going to win this football game. And it's easier said than done because, first and foremost, they got three really good running backs and then a quarterback that can run at any moment. And, you're asking, we saw Terrell Edmonds today say that Robert Spillane is probably going to have the duty that Devin Bush did in terms of spying Lamar Jackson. And we talked about that yesterday with Shane. We're not sure how that's going to go. All credit to Robert Spillane for the way that he's filled in for Devin Bush, but is he capable of doing that? I mean, that's the biggest thing is he going, I'm sure we know we're going to get the effort from him, but physically, is he going to be able to do that?
Yeah, I agree with you. That's going to be a big question mark. And I looked at an article saying how they used Spillane in the base and the nickel defense, and then for the dime packages, they did have Ulysses Gilbert out there pretty much the whole time. So I wonder what will change up for this Ravens game. And I don't know if I don't remember if you mentioned the health of Robert Spillane, like what question marks we have there. But hopefully he's ready to go for this game because there's a run first team with the Baltimore Ravens, so he's going to be needed a lot.
Yeah. So yesterday, Tomlin said we saw Spillane, Chris Wormley, and also Deontay Johnson all get a little bit banged up in the game. He didn't have an update at that point, but he said he doesn't expect any of them to be significant. And Deontay Johnson himself already tweeted out that he's going to be good to go. It's like an ankle bruise that he suffered, so he'll be good to go. As far as Spillane, I mean that collision at the goal line, just unbelievable. I mean,
right.
that is like if you Google football play, that is what you expect to see. Just a collision where you don't even have to have you could not be watching the game. You have your eyes closed and just listen to it and know what just happened. I mean, that is just big boy versus big boy, and Spillane came out on top of it.
Yeah, talk about sacrificing your body. I mean, you hear that a lot from guys, but this dude literally filled the hole at full speed with a shut up with a 6'2", 250-pound running back. I don't know if you guys heard me that 6'2", 250 pounds as a running back coming at you full speed, and he just met him at the hole and was basically a brick wall. He didn't give up a yard. So that's very impressive. And obviously you saw some guys on the team after the game on Twitter, like showing recognition, like they realize what he did on that play, what he sacrificed on that play. So, whenever you do that for your defense, I think they'll try to like step up in a way for you. And I'm hoping that maybe even if it wasn't maybe a separated shoulder or anything like that, I don't know what it is, but maybe it's just a stinger in his neck. Like a
stinger. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm hoping that's what it was, because you got a big man coming at you like that. Of course, you're going to get bruised no matter how you tackle him.
Yeah, I do want to get back to Robert Spillane, but Nick dropping some perspective for us in here in the YouTube chat. Once again, looking at it like big picture, they beat the only other unbeaten AFC team on the road without generating a turnover themselves. And keep in mind that they turned the ball over themselves 3 times. For the most part, neutralizing the NFL's best rusher. He had under 4 yards per carry, so 20 carries, 75 yards, and only playing one half of football. Looking forward to Baltimore. Also, Tennessee had been doing the come from behind thing all year. Only team that they didn't beat was us. Yeah, I believe 3 of their 5 wins before that, maybe even 4. At one point in the game, they trailed by 10 points. So
that's pretty nuts.
They just kind of been doing that all year. They
From a playoff contender, you don't really expect that.
Yeah, I know. I mean, that's kind of what we're talking about. Like, you think that game script would kind of, you got to get up by 2 or 3 possessions on them to have a shot, because otherwise, if they can run the ball, they're going to win more often than not. But yeah, the fact that they're able to come from behind in games, I think that just speaks to them not getting away from their game plan, still trusting it, willing to run the ball. And then, when they do pass the ball, whether it be play action or whatever, they have playmakers. I talked about it before. AJ Brown is a guy that I think is a true number 1 receiver. Corey Davis has looked better than he ever has. I still don't think he warranted being the 5th overall pick when he came out. Adam Humphries, who's kind of like a Julian Edelman light for them in the slot. And then Jonnu Smith and Anthony Ferguson at tight end are, as good of a tight end duo is going right now in the league. So, yeah, I mean, they got some weapons on that offense. So I don't think that a win against them can be taken lightly, even though, a lot of people are going to nitpick and look at the way that the game played out and see that the Steelers almost blew this one. Fact of the matter is they won on the road and beat a team by 3 points that was undefeated.
Right. And you mentioned that they're capable of coming from behind. We look forward to this week's opponent. And we haven't really seen a case of when they're able to do that, at least to a significant efficiency. When they get down by 2 scores, I don't really remember Baltimore being able to come back and win the game. We've seen it this year with Kansas City. They lost that game. What was the final score? Like 34-10 or 34-20 or something like that. And then last year, if you go back to the playoffs, Tennessee literally did the same thing to Baltimore. They stopped their running game and they were not able to play catch up. So I think if the Steelers could do similar to what they did in the first half and not totally shut down in the second half like they did, then they are putting themselves in a really good spot for this game.
Yeah, I mean, listen, again, I think Baltimore's a very good team, but that's not to say they could still be a very good team, but also be one-dimensional. It's just a lot of teams can't put them in that spot where they have to play catch up. That's why I said before, the Chiefs kind of laid out the blueprint of how to beat the Ravens. The problem is not every team has the horses that the Chiefs do to put the Ravens in that spot. But if you can get them into that spot, I mean, you're looking pretty good to win that game. So it's just a matter of putting yourself in that position. Once again, easier said than done, because not everybody has the talent of the Kansas City Chiefs, but a team that is well-rounded as any other in the NFL right now is the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Yeah, and we talked about it a little bit yesterday after on the post-game show, where I don't think that they're going to be airing the ball out a ton in this game. A lot of what they're going to be doing is what they've been doing for this entire year. A lot of quick hitters, short passes over the middle. And I think that's because you got to give the respect to the Ravens secondary that they need. They've got probably the best corner duo in the NFL, and the defense as a whole is very good. So a lot of everything has to be very quick with the Steelers offense. I expect to see that a lot, and I expect them to be able to be efficient. I mean, I expect a very efficient game, not a lot of turnovers. Hopefully, fingers crossed, not like this one. A couple of these turnovers were flukes, but I don't expect to bend the turnover the ball. I think everything's going to be very quick and short.
Yeah, you definitely got to take care of the ball, and it's about protecting Ben. The thing is, that's why Tennessee was able to bat so many balls at the line of scrimmage. They accepted they weren't going to put pressure on Ben because he gets out of the ball out of his hands so quick. So they were just timing it. They know the ball's coming out in about 2 seconds. So they were able to deflect some balls at the line of scrimmage. And, there were some plays there that changed the way that this game turned out and why it became so close. That interception at the line of scrimmage due to the batted ball. So, yeah, I think that the Steelers will probably try to get back to their identity and not what we saw against Tennessee, not take as many deep shots. Ben's got to protect the ball better. He said the 3 interceptions were unacceptable, which, a lot of those, again, kind of fluky interceptions, but still he doesn't want to hear that. So, yeah, it's going to be a good one. While we're talking about this, I guess we can just make this where we're kind of previewing Ravens week. I know that your hot take was that we were sweeping the Ravens this year.
We are.
So what is your prediction for this game?
You mean like how it's going to play out, or you just want to score?
Both.
All right. I think it's going to be a very grindy game. I think this game is going to go by quickly. It's going to be a lot of running, even from the Steelers front. Because, I mean, you've seen teams. I'm looking at the box scores for the the Ravens games. And the Browns, 138 yards on the ground. Chiefs, 132 yards on the ground. Eagles, 194 yards on the ground. But then you have teams like Washington football team, Cincinnati, and the Texans, 51, 69, and 70, respectively. So you've seen that with teams with solid offensive lines and solid running backs are able to move the ball on this defense. I think that James Conner is going to run for over 100 yards. I think he'll probably have I'm going to say he's going to have a touchdown through the ground and on the end in the air. He's probably going to be within like the 10, and they'll probably just send him out to the side and Ben will throw it to him. But I will say that the Steelers will win this game 27-23. That's my final prediction.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I'm never going to pick against the Steelers. I just can't do it. So I'll start out by saying that I am going with the Steelers in this game. 27-20 is the score I have in my head. But at the same time, before we played against the Titans, I said, hey, if you split the next 2, it's going to be hard for me to be upset about it. And if you're going to lose one, I'd rather have it be against the Ravens on the road, just because we get another shot at them when they come here on Thanksgiving night. So, I mean, this is literally a coin flip for me. We hope we get Mike Hilton back. I think he's going to be a big part of this game, should he be able to go. If you don't have him, I think that he's going to be sorely missed in this one, more so than against the Tennessee Titans. Just because his play style, I think that they need him out there, the way that he comes off the edge, not having a true spy or a guy that is capable of being the spy on Lamar, I think will come into play. And I think that's where you would like to have a guy like Mike Hilton be able to come in off the edge and blitz. So I think he's going to be an X factor for this game. And I think that they need to have him out there. For the Ravens, I mean, they're kind of in a great position right now for this game, coming off of a bye. It's the Steelers that I feel like there's a ton of pressure on, and they're in the harder spot where, they're coming off two grinded out games. Again, obviously the divisional opponent in Cleveland, which we were kind of able to just kind of cakewalk through, but we had the loss of Devin Bush, which is bigger than the loss of the game. I think you could argue, should we have lost that game? And then the game against the Titans where, up big, and then Tennessee comes back, just kind of like a punch in the mouth game where, people don't come out of it fully healthy. And now we got to play another game against, you can argue the same thing. It'll be the most physical game of the year, which is what we would have said about the Titans game. And, we're not fully healthy. The Ravens look like they're going to come out of their bye and be ready to go full strength against us. So I don't know. I mean, this is going to be a really tough one. I'm looking forward to watching it. If I weren't a fan of either one of these teams, I mean, this would be an awesome game. But I know I'm going to be on the edge of my seat for 60 minutes on Sunday. So looking forward to it. But at the same time, I'm going to have my heart medication right next to me.
Yeah, I got mine right here. Right there.
But again, I can't pick against them. So I will go 27-20 Steelers. Man, and if they go to 7-0 with that win, I think that you're still going to probably have some people that are questioning them, but I really don't know how you could if they come out of next week with a W.
Honestly, I mean, people said the Browns, they were a fake identity. They weren't a good team, so that win doesn't count. I wonder what people are going to say all this week, why the Tennessee game won't count for the Steelers. And then, yeah, like you said, people are still going to find excuses for if they beat the Ravens. But if you start 7-0, I don't know how you can. Like I said yesterday, the Steelers have only started 7-0 one time before, and that was 1978. So, and I said this before, like 2 weeks ago on Twitter, that it's crazy to me that the Steelers have never started. I mean, we're 6-0 now, but let alone 5-0 or 4-0 in our lifetimes. Because with Ben, I would have thought that there's been at least a year or two where we would have started like 4-0, but we never have. And that's honestly crazy to me to think about.
Yeah, well, I mean, with being Steeler fans, I mean, we've opened up with New England a lot. Like they'll win a Super Bowl and we have to play them on their banner night to open up the season. So that, or we know, the Steelers tend to have those games early in the season where they'll drop a game to a team like the Raiders or the Bears, a game that they shouldn't lose. Like in 2017, they go 13-3, one of those losses to the Bears with Mike Glennon at quarterback. Like, they just seem to have those games every year, and they might this year. Who knows? We haven't played teams like Dallas, who's going to probably have Ben DiNucci or somebody outside the organization right now at quarterback, or Jacksonville, who looks really bad. Who else do we play that's a pretty bad team? Washington. I mean, we still have a couple of those games on the schedule, so who knows? But that's kind of what we gotten used to as Steeler fans. They're not going to, I don't see this team going undefeated. Sorry to break it to you, but there's only been one team to do it in NFL history. So
if Ben DiNucci beats the Steelers, I will eat one of my baseball cards. I'll do it on our show. I don't care. If that actually happens, I will eat a baseball card.
I want to move along to like a trend that we saw continue in yesterday's game. Something we talked a little bit on the post-game show about. We saw Chase Claypool and James Washington kind of take a back seat yesterday. And, we're completely fine with that as fans. Again, if you're a fantasy owner, that's probably not the best thing to see. Chase Claypool, a guy that you're probably throwing in on your rosters pretty regularly now. But that's what happens with the Steelers. You never know who the guy is going to be that eats. Let the defense eliminate who they want to eliminate instead of the other guys that benefit from it. I mean, Deontay Johnson and Juju Smith-Schuster were the guys yesterday. I think they both had double-digit targets. I think Juju was targeted 14 times. I'm not sure about Deontay. Both top 90 yards. Deontay obviously scores a couple touchdowns. Juju coming up huge on third down throughout the game, just breaking off chunk plays to pick up the first down. So, I mean, great game from both those guys. But again, just the trend kind of continues where week in and week out, you don't know who the guy's going to be.
Yeah, and I see no problem with that. It honestly leaves a more element of surprise and keeps the defense guessing for each team week to week, because you don't know whether it's going to be Chase Claypool, Juju Smith-Schuster, Deontay Johnson, maybe even James Washington has a week where he's the number one guy. But you are right. So they had 14 targets for Juju and 15 for Deontay. They each had 9 catches, and Deontay had 80 yards and, of course, the 2 touchdowns. And Juju had 85 yards. And even though he didn't get into the end zone, he did have a lot of those big third down completions that we were talking about yesterday that helped the Steelers close out that game. But yeah, I see no problem with this week to week, everybody getting their own. I mean, what's the downside to it? sure, you don't have a number one guy, but when you have like 4 or 5 really good guys, I see no downside to it whatsoever.
Yeah, I mean, I asked you a question. I think it was just on the last episode. Can you definitively say that the Steelers have a number one wide receiver? And if so, who is it? And I don't think that the answer is yes to that. I mean, if you were picking one guy that it could be, oddly enough, I mean, Juju's probably like third on the list, and he has the best rapport with Big Ben because Chase Claypool just a freak. Deontay Johnson, the best route runner of them, and you see what he's capable of when healthy. That's the only question mark you have about the guy. You do see kind of the ups and downs. I mean, he dropped a couple passes yesterday. Still can't seem to get on the same page with Ben every once in a while on those back shoulder throws.
At least once a game.
Yeah, I mean, it's just weird, but you figure like that's stuff that you can clean up, and you figure once he does, I mean, this guy is going to be lethal because he already is a very good football player. But you look at this wide receiver room as a whole, and it's so deep, and that's I would rather have a deep wide receiver room than have one guy, we'll throw the name out there like Antonio Brown on the Steelers, but then have a bunch of guys behind him who aren't legitimate, number twos. Going into like the AFC Championship game against the Patriots that we played back in 2016, it was like Antonio Brown, and then like our number two was like Kobe Hamilton or Eli Rogers. Like this wide receiver room from top to bottom, I will take over that wide receiver room 8 days out of 7.
For sure. I mean, because we don't have a number one right now doesn't mean one can't emerge. I'm sure eventually someone will emerge as the clear-cut number one guy. And, I mean, you saw that people are keying in on Chase Claypool more. I mean, he had one catch for minus 2 yards.
I think Malcolm Butler kind of shadowed him yesterday.
Yeah, I think that was the full intention because you see how versatile this guy is with the size and the speed. I mean, he's a mismatch for whoever's on him. So I fully understand if teams want to double cover him, but it just creates other opportunities for all these other receivers.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing is a defensive coordinator. I don't know that that's the best game plan for you is to just eliminate one guy with this wide receiver room. I think that you just kind of gotta, I don't know how you neutralize it. I don't know that you can with the number of guys that we have, but to just shut down one guy, I don't think that that's the best route to go because we saw yesterday that we have, you shut down one guy, we still got 2 or 3 other guys. I don't know what was up with James Washington not really being involved because again, we can kind of attribute Chase Claypool not being involved to what we just talked about. But yeah, I'm not sure why James Washington, didn't have a role yesterday.
Yeah, he's not even on the stat sheet, so I don't even know if he was targeted at all.
I think he was when CBS lost coverage because we came back and they were like showing on him.
Okay. Yeah, that was weird. How that just like cut out. That looked like the ring girl I mentioned, but was going to come out of my TV, and then it just cut to a commercial.
Yeah. 5 of Juju's catches yesterday, or 5 of 5 is 9 catches. Yeah. Were for first downs.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks, Logan, for that information.
Let's see. James Washington. Okay, he had 1 target, no catch. Yeah. But I mean,
look at what he did.
The week before. I mean, he was great. So it just varies week to week who's going to be the guy.
And again, I mean, as Steeler fans, you got to be completely fine with that. You're going to have people calling out, Juju, of course, but it is what it is, and the results are the results. And I don't have an issue with, Chase Claypool could have 200 yards and be the only receiver that has a catch. As long as we win, I don't care.
Yeah, and we saw like Ebron even have more of an expanded role, I feel like, in this game than he did in previous games. He had 6 catches for 50 yards.
Well, it was National Tight Ends Day, so I feel like he kind of had to.
That's true. But yeah, I like him in this offense. It's just another weapon that the Steelers have on this guy. I mean, I feel like whenever they are in passing downs, you just have to run a zone with everyone and rush like 3 or 4 guys, and that's it, because the Steelers just have too many weapons so they can run over the middle.
Right. Yeah, and you talked about, the depth of the receiver room. The number 5 guy in that depth chart, Ray McCloud, it feels like we finally have a return man. That doesn't have to be, our number 1 receiver like it was for so long. We tried to find a guy, it ended up being Antonio Brown every single year. They had to end up having him back there. Now, Ray McCloud looks like he's going to be a viable option on kick returns and on punt returns.
Yeah, so he did break that big one for 57 yards yesterday on the punt return, but on the season, he has 8 returns, and he's averaging 18.1 yards per return on punt return. And kick returns, he's got 9 returns, and he's averaging 26.3 yards per return. So those are stellar numbers. I mean, on kick returns, anytime you get past the 20, I feel like it's a good thing. If you're not going to make it to the 20, I never understand why guys run it out.
It's the 25 now.
Oh, is it the 25?
Yeah.
Okay, I didn't even realize they expanded it.
Mm-hmm. Punts is the 20, kickoffs 25.
Okay, well, yeah. So, he's even making it past the 25 on his average kick returns, and then punt returns. I feel like 18.1 yards per return is something that we've never seen from anybody besides maybe Antonio Brown.
Right. And it's gonna be a little bit skewed, especially like not even like the halfway point of the season when you rip off one for 50 plus yards like he did yesterday. By the way, he would have scored on had he gone to the right side, where James Pierre was blocking. But I don't know what he saw. Obviously, he thought that somebody was there and not on his left side. I don't know. But either way, yeah, it looks like we really have something in the return game, a guy that can flip the field. And that's what we've been looking for. Our special teams has not been stellar. And I still think that we don't have the solution. In terms of our punter. But hey, when you having a guy like Ray McCloud in the return game that can flip the field at any moment and, go to the house at any moment, a guy like that, I mean, it just adds a whole new element to your team. We know how important special teams is to Mike Tomlin, and it looks like they finally have found that upgrade in that area that they've been looking for.
So you mentioned it could be skewed because of that 57-yard return. So I just wiped that out. And imagine if that didn't happen, he's still averaging over 12 and a half yards per return.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I figured it'd still be pretty decent, but yeah, that's a difference of what, 6 yards?
6 yards.
Say it was 18. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I mean, they've definitely found something in the return game, in my opinion, and the fact that you can kind of use him as like a gadget guy on offense too, especially like with the way that Matt Canada's influence has changed this offense. I mean, that just makes it all the better. That long run that he ripped off against Philly. Again, I don't want to see them do it too much. Just keep it in your back pocket. But whenever they pull that thing out, it's going to be interesting to see how they utilize it.
Yeah, I think I made someone a little bit butthurt when he said, in Randy Fichtner we trust, and I just did like the little asterisk, you mean Matt Canada? And yeah. he's like, no, Randy Fichtner's calling the plays. I'm like, in my head, I'm like thinking, yeah, but who's really influencing this offense? I mean, you look at the style of play, it's definitely not the Randy Fichtner offense we used to know.
Yeah, I think that there's definitely a clear difference, but at the same time, I do have to give, Randy credit for embracing that and bringing that into his offense. Because at the end of the day, I still think that it is, his offense primarily. It's just Matt Canada's influence. So I think just a combination of those two things together is really working for the Steelers. And again, I want to see them get back to it and not go with as much of what we saw in that second half against Tennessee, because up until that point, in my opinion, the offense has been going on all cylinders. And even if, again, you look big picture, once again, scoring over 26 points, it's, the first time in team history that they've done that in this many consecutive games.
Yeah, it's really exciting, especially when you go from the polar opposite offense from last year. And I know we didn't have Ben, we didn't have some of the weapons that we have, but still polar opposite. So it's very refreshing as a Steelers fan to watch this offense this year.
And Logan just mentioned, it's a good thing that we talked about how important special teams was with Ulysses, because that's what the difference in the game was. That big return, Boz was perfect on field goals. They had the missed field goal, the bobbled, punt that they had. So, I mean, it's really the difference in the game. And I don't think that you can minimize the importance that special teams has had. Again, not sure that they have the right guy punting right now. Hopefully they find a better solution, but
I mean, I don't know. I did say I would rather have Jordan Berry than Dustin Colquitt, and I still stand by that. But there's definitely other guys I would rather have than Jordan Berry. So don't get me wrong. This is not the punter I want, but it's the punter I wanted over Dustin Colquitt.
Yeah, I think it's closer to a lateral move than an upgrade. It's a very small upgrade, if anything, when, we want to see a legit improvement in that area to at least – a guy that's like top 20. We don't want to be bottom 3 in terms of punting. So,
yeah. And I mean, you just wanted to talk about special teams for a second. I mean, Chris Boswell has been money this year. He's 100% on field goals. He's only missed one extra point. He's 21. He's 20 out of 21. So I don't know what changed from what year was that? 2018.
2018. He tore his groin or whatever and didn't tell anybody.
Yeah. How do you go the entire season and that either that's not told or you don't point that out? Like, I guess he didn't want to lose his job because his kickers, you just get replaced easily. But still, I mean, for how poorly he was playing, he could have lost his job either way.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I didn't even know that. I remember like it came out because his brother said something to somebody on Twitter about he was dealing with a groin injury for pretty much the entire season. But and I mean, I think you look at the results now, and that definitely had to be true. Like, what else could it have been? Because and it's really a testament to him to bounce back from that. Because kickers, with how mental of a position that can be, if you have a year like that, most guys don't come back from that.
Yeah, and I'm just looking at his yearly field goal percentage. So he's had 6 seasons so far. This is his sixth season with the Steelers. 90.6%, 84%, 92.1%, 65%, 93.5%, and this year so far 100%.
Yeah,
So
his
I
only
mean,
missed kick this year was that extra point against the
uh-huh.
Giants in game one. And he was perfect on extra points last year. So man, kicking is just so weird.
Yeah, they're just like freaks of nature, like with how they act.
Their
And
preparation and
yeah.
everything about it. Yeah.
Hmm.
Okay. And the last thing that I want to talk about before we bring Stubbs on is Terrell Edmonds, which I did not think would be a topic on this show had you told me this before the season. But I mean, the dude's playing well. I don't know how anybody can deny it. You can obviously, I still don't think he warrants being a first round pick or anything like that. But he's an NFL starter. And I think that the last 3 weeks, he's just improved every single week. It shows, watching it live and going back and watching tape. I think that you will be able to put a stamp on it that this guy's a much improved player here in year three.
Yeah, he definitely is. He still doesn't possess the ball skills that a lot of guys would want him to have.
Yeah.
But I mean, as long as he keeps playing defensively like he is, I'm not going to really complain about it. And I think he's trying to prove this year that the Steelers should pick up his fifth year option. Because I feel like that was a question mark beforehand. Is like, is this going to be another first round pick that we don't want to really deal with after this year? And I think he's playing well enough to make sure we do pick up that fifth year option. I'm fine with him as a strong safety.
Yeah, I think that the biggest question is like utilization for that reason, because like you mentioned he doesn't have the ball skills. He just has that one career pick. Going into this season, Buda Baker, who was the highest paid safety, didn't have a pick in his career. Now he has two this year. Jamal Adams does not get interceptions. So, I mean, you don't necessarily have to, but he wasn't even like playing well in coverage. He wasn't making plays on the ball whatsoever. That's changed this year. He's around the ball a lot. He's breaking up passes. He's always, been good around the line of scrimmage, a short tackler. But he's still good in that aspect. He hasn't taken a step back there, and he's improved in his pass coverage. So, yeah, on the opposite side of Minka, a player like that, you got to be fine with it. Could they upgrade at that position? Sure, but there's absolutely nothing wrong with what Terrell Edmonds has given them right now.
Yeah, and just looking at his pass deflections in the previous seasons to this one, 2018 he had 4. All of last year he only had 3, and this year so far he has 5. So he's definitely improved in that part a ton.
Yeah, I think he had 2 yesterday. Like he's around the ball way more.
Mm-hmm.
Teams are obviously not going to target the half of the field that Minka's on. Who we talked about yesterday, probably had his worst game as a Steeler, but in general, people are not going to be attacking that side of the field. Terrell Edmonds is going to have his fair share of opportunities to break up passes, and it's relieving to know that he has taken a step forward in that area, and it's something that he's capable of doing.
Yeah, and he's a guy that I'm comfortable with him like blitzing as well. I like what he brings in that type of game too. He's similar to Mike Hilton, where I think he plays good up around the line. I mean, he has a quarterback hit this year, which is funny from a safety, but
well, yeah, he ended the game against Denver, I believe,
mm-hmm.
on a 4th down. He's got a sack.
Yeah, he does. So yeah, he's very well improved. I'm happy for him.
It needed to be too, for the reason that you just mentioned. Year 3, the biggest year for these first round picks, trying to give teams a reason to pick up that 5th year option. And I think that he's making a case so far. The team, ton of decisions to make. With all the free agents that they have and everything like that coming up, not just this year but the following year. There's a lot of guys that are going to be due some money. But yeah, Ryan said Edmonds def shut me up this year so far. Yeah, I mean, we got a long way to go. And again, I don't think that, he warranted being a first round pick, but I think that they looked at the athletic traits and said, if we're willing to take this guy in the 2nd round, let's take him in the 1st round. So we have that opportunity for the 5th year option.
Yeah, I guess that's true. That's one way to look at it.
Yeah, I mean, I've heard teams say that or guys say that before. Like, if you're willing to take a guy day two, you might as well take him day one because you get that fifth year option on him if you think that they're just going to get better down the line. Like, maybe that guy's not going to be there right now. And I think that was a big thing, too, is they expected Morgan Burnett to be a lot better than he was. And Terrell Edmonds had to play a lot more than they were hoping for in his rookie year.
Yeah. And I'm fine with that. Terrell Edmonds, he's like you said, he's not what we wanted in the first round pick, but I'm happy with the way he's played. He's improved a lot. I hope he keeps it going, especially against a team like this this week.
Right. Okay. Well, I think that pretty much wraps this up minus our bets. So I will get Stubbs in here and we will go with that. We all had winning records last week.
Yeah.
Due to a change that you noticed.
I did. I thought I had over 57.5 for the Packers, but I had under 57.5 and they scored 55. So turns out I am 7-6 so far this week.
I think Stubbs was close to undefeated.
Really? That's nuts.
Okay, it just says joining. Okay.
Staberto. Connecting to audio. There he is. Stubbs, what's going on?
All right, before we get into this week, I mean, what the heck happened last week? I mean, are you on a heater? Are you back? What's going on?
I have no clue, but when I texted you guys, I was projected to go 10-1, and I ended up I'm at 9-3 yesterday.
So what were the losses?
The Seahawks didn't cover.
Oh,
of course.
Okay.
Hold on, I have it written down. The Jags lost. I had them plus 7.5, and they couldn't. They could have backdoored it, but they didn't. And who else did we get? I lost on the Giants game on Thursday.
Okay.
But everything
Wait,
else.
Did you say 9-3?
9-3 yesterday. 9-4
okay.
last week. And
Okay.
if the Bears cover the 6 tonight, 10-4.
Yeah. So I'm 8-5 for the week, and I have the over 44.5 tonight. My most confident pick was the over in points in Seattle and Arizona. That happened. My least confident was going New England covering -1.5 against San Fran. That obviously didn't happen. The Patriots stink. I was wrong to think that Bill Belichick couldn't lose this many games in a row. You got another tough game coming up this week. So
that was my least confident, and I got it. I picked the Niners on the money line.
Yeah, so mine, I have under 44.5. So Smitty and I are going head to head tonight on that pick. And then my most confident was the Steelers money line. That obviously hit. And then my least confident was the Panthers covering 7.5 points against the Saints because I questioned whether Michael Thomas was back and how that was going to affect the game. But they ended up losing by 4 points? So I got that right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Dude, Michael Thomas, if I was a fantasy owner, like, what a frustrating year. And I almost was. He got taken one pick before me, and I was going to take him instead. I got Devontae Adams. So not upset with that at all. But yeah, he's dealing with the ankle injury. And then he gets suspended, and now he has a hamstring injury. I mean, what a year for the guy. And now they can, because he got suspended, at any point during his contract, they can null the guarantees on it. I mean.
Yeah, that sucks for him.
Yeah. I mean, this is completely off topic because we're talking bets, but how long is he a Saint?
A lot of people say he's not going to get traded.
I'm not talking like this year or,
but you mean like in the future, in the near
but at some
future.
point, yeah. Do you think that he finishes the contract he's currently on with New Orleans?
No.
How many more years does he have? 3.
I think, 3 or 4.
No.
The thing is, too, I mean, that's a team that is very up against the cap as it is. So they're going to have to find ways to maneuver around it at some point. Also, Nick just made a joke about Stubbs. He said he wasn't sure that you could do Zoom on a Motorola Razr. Okay, so first game here, we got Atlanta and Carolina. Also, you're going to notice 2 of these games. I had to get the points from the score because on FanDuel, they didn't have the points yet up. So we are doing
Yeah.
this earlier than normal. So that would be why. But anyway, this Thursday's game going to be Atlanta and Carolina. Carolina 2.5-point favorites. They're minus 152 money line. Atlanta plus 128, and the over under is set at 49.
I got Carolina on the money line here.
I took them to cover 2.5. Atlanta probably should have beat Detroit yesterday. Todd Gurley stumbles his way into the end zone, which I'm happy about for my fantasy team, but obviously Atlanta not happy about. 3 times this year they've had a 98% chance to win a game and they've lost. The rest of the NFL has 4 of those occurrences. So
That's crazy.
I can't buy into Atlanta, so I'm definitely not picking them to win this game. And 2.5 points is close enough where I feel like, they're not going to win by 1 or 2. They're going to win by at least a field goal. So I'll take Carolina to cover the 2.5.
I'm going to be doing the same thing, so we're all boring.
Well, Stubbs is just taking a money line. So Stubbs has picked them to win by just 1 or 2 points.
Yeah, I never understand that.
Look, they won by 1 point, or they lost by 1 point last week.
The Falcons did, yeah. I don't know. I mean, that was just
That
a
is
fluke.
true.
That was a fluky win. I don't know.
They've had 3 fluky. They've had those 3 times this year.
All right, fine.
Indy and Detroit, Detroit well on their way to 10 wins and a playoff win. Indianapolis 2.5-point favorites here, minus 164 in the money line. Detroit plus 138. The over-under is set at 50.
I took the Colts on the money line here.
I don't know because what Colts team is going to show up?
Yeah, that's
Is it
So
going to be
they're
the one that's
coming off
good
their
defensively? And I mean, is Philip Rivers going to suck like he has? I have no idea.
They need Darius Leonard back, and they're coming off their bye, so he could be back. I'm not sure what the status is with him, but that defense is night and day different without that guy in the middle of it. So I think that there's going to be a decent bit of points scoring this game. I think Detroit's offense is good enough to put up some points, regardless of if Darius Leonard's there or not. I took the over 50 here.
I honestly don't know. This is a tough game.
I took a lot of money line. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, you're fine because the Colts can be good when they want to be, I guess, at least defensively. Offensively, I guess it's a big question mark on Philip Rivers. But I just don't know. I feel like I have a lot of trust in Matthew Stafford. Not the rest of the team, but I like him a lot.
Kenny Galladay's a beast.
Yeah.
And DeAndre Swift has taken on a more expanded role the last 2 weeks.
Yeah.
So I think that's huge for the offense.
Listen, I'm taking Lions money line. I think they're going to win at home against the Colts.
Okay. So we're all different there. Colts money line, Lions money line, and I just got the points. Yeah. Over 50.
I took a lot of money line this week because the lines aren't set in stone yet.
Yeah.
So
I have 3 money line.
Yeah, so I really didn't I don't know what to choose.
I don't know what I have because I'm doing this on the fly with you guys.
Okay, so the Raiders and Browns here. The Browns are 2.5-point favorites. The Raiders plus 126. The Browns minus 148. Over under set at 53.5. I don't know if you guys are ready for this one.
I took
Are you whipping out Mjolnir?
I took Las Vegas
No.
plus 2.5.
No.
But I do need it by me.
I'm going to pick over 53.5 points scored.
I'm going with the Raiders money line. This is one of my 3 money line.
I like it.
Cleveland's offense in a small sample size has actually looked better without OBJ. But big picture, is that going to be the trend? I don't think so. I think that they miss him, and I think it starts this week.
Yeah, this will probably be a shootout kind of game.
Yeah, that's,
I mean,
that's why I'm going
53.5,
over.
I was surprised to see a total for this game, but yeah, both defenses, I guess, kind of stink. I don't know. Yeah, I got the Raiders money line here. Moving on, this is a game that didn't have the points on here, so I took it from the score, and it shows it as 49. So it's going to be the Rams and Dolphins here. The Rams minus 4.5-point favorites. They're minus 200 on the money line. The Dolphins are plus 168, and again, the over/under is set at 49 from what I could find.
This is going to be Tua's first start.
Yep.
Against Aaron Donald, so
Was he going to re-break his hip?
Wow.
Hopefully not. I got Rams -4.5, but I don't like that I don't get to see what they do this week before I guess that.
Yeah, I also have the Rams covering. I mean, I like Tua. I think that he's going to be a very good player in this league, but this is a tall task for your first start going against that why do I almost say Las Vegas? Los Angeles
There's
Rams.
the Las Vegas Rams.
Aaron Donald and those boys getting after him. So no, I don't think he re-injures that hip, but I don't think that he wins his first start in the NFL.
What is the total again? 49?
Showing us 49.
Huh. I'm going to pick the under 49 points. It's 49 flat, not 49 and a half.
49 flat, yeah.
All right. I'll pick under 49 points.
Okay. All right, moving along. We got the Minnesota Vikings and the Green Bay Packers. The Packers -6.5 point favorites. -295 on the money line. Vikings +240. Over under set at 54.5. And I can tell you already that since I did this has changed by a half point.
Yeah.
But I'm fine with that because it's gone in the Vikings direction because it was -7. I had Green Bay covering at that, so I'll clearly take them to cover -6.5.
Yeah, I'm gonna take the Packers -6.5.
So am I. I feel like it's too easy of a pick to do.
Yeah, the offense found themselves again after that terrible game against Tampa Bay. But they look like they're back on track after just 1 week.
Without Aaron Jones too.
Did I see
that
Devontae Adams had like 200 yards or something?
Yeah, he's ridiculous.
Here, I'll bring up the stat sheet. Let's see.
Him and Tyler Lockett were ridiculous yesterday.
So Devontae Adams had 13 receptions for 196 yards and 2 touchdowns. And they put up 35 points without Aaron Jones. They had Jamal Williams step in and running back.
Yeah.
Shout out
Green
to
Bay notoriously holds guys out if they even have like a little bit of an issue. So I think that Aaron Jones, I would expect to see him back out there for this game.
Their draft, they had the worst draft I think ever this year.
It didn't make them better at all like this year. And for like a 35-year-old quarterback, right now should be your priority.
Yeah, AJ Dillon makes no sense.
Worst running back in the draft.
Yeah,
the whole draft.
For where he was taken.
Yeah, value-wise, probably. Yeah. Okay,
Maybe
moving along. New England and Buffalo. Buffalo -4 point favorites here, -205 on the money line. New England is +172, and the over/under set at 44.
Dude, is New England going to lose 4 games?
They're tanking for Trevor.
Dude, you got to tank harder. You got to keep up with the Jets. What are you hammering?
I'm hammering the under points here, under 44. Buffalo, I mean, we know what the weather can be like there. And both these offenses don't inspire me. Buffalo's offense did not do much against the Jets. They relied on their field goal kicker to put up points, and the Patriots' offense has been terrible. Buffalo's defense is pretty good for the most part. They sat 2 of their starting defensive linemen last week and looked terrible. I mean, it was just like a disciplinary thing. Those guys will be back this week. We're missing Matt Milano, but he's going to be back. Tre'Davious White closer to 100%. I think Buffalo's defense is a lot better than what we've seen the last couple of weeks. And New England's offense is not very good. So I'll take the under in points here. I don't know that if New England's going to lose another game in a row, but I don't think that this goes over 44 points.
Yeah, I have the Bills -4 here.
That's what I'm taking too. I think they're going to lose another game. Last week
Bill
against
Belichick just retire?
Honestly, maybe.
There's no reason for him to go through another rebuild. Should that be the way that this team has to go?
I just don't see a reason why he needs to do that. It's not like he has to expand his legacy anymore. I mean, I guess if you want to win without Tom, that's probably why Tom left. I want to win without Bill, but I don't know. I just think that the team is not that great. I had them in a playoff spot, I think, and I don't know. I don't really know if that's going to happen. But yeah, I'm looking at what Josh Allen did against the Jets. Even though he didn't score a touchdown, he still threw for 307 yards. He had 61 on the ground. I'm hoping that the running game for the Bills can go be a little bit better so you don't have to have Josh Allen as your leading rusher. but I mean, Cole Beasley had 112 yards yesterday.
Yeah.
That's pretty nuts. So yeah, I'm picking the Bills -4.
This is the largest line. Oh, this has moved already too since I picked it. The Chiefs and Jets. Chiefs -19.5, -2,200 on the money line. The Jets +1,100, and the over/under is set at 48.
I don't know why I get the feeling just looking at this game that it's like a trap game for bettors where you're going to take the spread of Kansas City and somehow the Jets are going to cover.
I have the Jets covering. It's too big for me I'm going Jets +19.5.
Yeah, I did these like 2 hours ago.
Yeah, it was 20.5.
Yeah, so I have Jets +20.5. It looks like a college spread in the NFL, which
I'm gonna put just like a few bucks on the Jets winning this game straight up, just because. I mean, 1,100.
Man,
Jets +20.5 is just too. I tweeted this yesterday. Pat Mahomes has not looked like Pat Mahomes yet.
Yeah, the only game I would say was probably that Monday night against the Ravens.
Yeah.
Other than that, yeah, it's been pretty average for that offense. Although yesterday they scored a ton of points, but they also got 2 touchdowns from their defense and special teams. So
yeah,
I am gonna pick. Man, I'm. You might think I'm crazy doing this. I'm picking under 48 points.
Well, you're right about being crazy.
I just like. I don't know. How many points do you really expect the Jets to score?
Yeah, it's a good under pick, I think.
Like how honestly, how many points do you think the Jets are going to score in this game?
I mean, yeah, if KC scores 35, like, are the Jets just score 13 even? I mean,
I don't know. I mean, they scored 10 against Buffalo, but I don't know. And what's the weather going to be like in Kansas City? Kansas City can be pretty bad sometimes. So I'm picking under 48. Maybe I'll regret it, but I don't know. Looking at it right now, I don't.
All right. Our game here, Steelers and Ravens. The Ravens, this is moving a lot. So, I mean, no matter when you're looking at this or listening back, it could be very different. The Ravens are now a 3.5 point favorite, -188 on the money line. Steelers +158, over under at 46.5.
Listen, I'll just go first. Easiest pick of my life again. Steelers money line.
I don't bet on these games. But yeah, and because of that, I'm going with the best odds every single time. That would be the Steelers money line.
I took the Steelers +4. I got it at +4.
It started out as 5.5, I think, yesterday. Yeah. So yeah, this has already moved 2 points.
I'll take an undefeated team if they give me points every time.
Titans and Bengals here. Titans are -5.5 point favorites. They're -250 on the money line. Cincinnati is +205, and the over/under on points is 54.5.
The Bengals are the greatest team to bet on. 5-1 against the spread so far this year. So I'm taking the Bengals plus. I got them at +5.5.
Hey, I feel like I've taken the Bengals money line like 3 weeks in a row. I don't want to do it a 4th week in a row, so I will take the points +5.5. Joe Burrow's been so impressive for the numbers that he's been putting up. It's a shame that he can't win the game because the rest of the team sucks around him. But he's been really good. I'm going to take those points.
And the Bengals, I saw someone tweet like the Bengals stats like against quarterbacks, like they're not really picking them apart that much.
No,
Baker Mayfield actually had the best game against them.
I think that their biggest issue is the offensive line. I would have thought coming into the season it'd be the defense. Their offensive line has been their biggest problem.
Yeah. And the Titans played the luckiest game I think I've ever seen against the Steelers. Like those 3 interceptions, I only want the one that he tried to force to Juju. Ben did. That's the only legit interception they had.
I'm actually going against you guys here. I have the Titans covering. And I know, the statistics for Cincinnati this year to go against that. I think way too much about the Titans here coming off a loss. Granted, it is in Cincinnati. Yeah, I have the Titans covering 5.5 here. That might end up being my least confident, though. We'll see. Chargers and Broncos. Chargers -3. They're -162 on the money line. Denver is +136. The over/under set at 45.5. I'll go first. This is my upset special of the week. I'm going the Broncos money line on this. We saw what the weather was like this past week yesterday with Kansas City and Denver. In Denver, we can see very similar weather conditions there. Chargers having to travel from the West Coast. They will not be used to those conditions. And Justin Herbert, he comes from that same type of thing up in Oregon, not used to playing in those conditions either. I will take the Broncos money line here.
I took the points with the Broncos +3. I think they got to get a win this week. Is their coach's job on the line, you think?
Vic Fangio, this is just year 2 for him, especially with everybody that they've lost. I feel like it's not.
Yeah.
I don't know. I would say no, regardless of how they finish out the season. But yeah, to have like any type of life, I think Drew Lock might be playing for his job.
Yeah. Yeah, I took the points with the Broncos here.
That's what I'm doing as well. +3.
Okay. This is the other game that didn't have the points listed on FanDuel yet. So I found it on the score at 46. It's the Saints and Bears. Saints -2.5 point favorites here, -158 on the money line. The Bears are +134. Again, the over/under is set at 46.
I might be high, but give me the Bears money line.
Wow.
See, I took the
They're
Saints.
down.
Yeah, I took the Saints money line here because I have the Bears winning tonight, which would make them 6-1, and I do not see the Bears being 7-1. I don't see that happening. So I took the Saints winning this game.
I mean, I'm just going based off of the Saints' performances, especially on the road. The Saints are not the same team. So yeah, I'm picking the Bears. Upset them.
I'm not picking a winner. I want under 46 points here. The Saints only put up 27 points against Carolina, and Chicago is a better defense than them. And on the reverse side of that, I don't think very highly of Chicago's offense. I think they're winning games because of their defense. So I'll do the under in points here. Don't know who's going to win that game, but doesn't matter for my pick. San Fran and Seattle. Seattle is -3 point favorites here, -168 on the money line, +142 is San Fran, and the over/under is set at 54.
Seahawks -3. Book it.
I took 49ers +3 here.
I originally
49ers
had Seattle -3, but their defense is not good. And also, Shaquille Griffin left yesterday's game, their best corner. Not sure if he's going to be back. I don't know when Jamal Adams is coming back. If he comes back, that would obviously make their defense better. I actually just went with the over on points here because I know Russ is going to put up points, but I think with how bad Seattle's defense is, even though I don't think the world of Jimmy G and that San Fran offense, he's got enough weapons there to put up some points against as bad of a defense as Seattle's been.
Jimmy G sucks. I mean, I'll say it till I'm blue in the face. He's not a good quarterback.
I think you just say you'll say it to his face.
No, I will say it to his face. He sucks.
What's the
dude?
record?
You're not a good quarterback, right?
Would you say?
What's the record between these two teams the past couple of years, or with Jimmy G as the quarterback? That's what I want to know. I feel like the Niners have that. I think they're winning this series. I know they have a lot of people hurt, but
I don't know.
There's got to be a record or a way to look at his record just versus a division opponent.
How long has Jimmy G been there? What was his first year?
2017.
All right. So the Seahawks are 4-2 against him.
oh wow.
The two losses coming. The two losses were 26-21 last year, and the year prior 26-23 in overtime.
Hmm.
2-11 in the last 13 games against Seattle. That's what Logan said in the chat.
Is that San Fran? Is
I think.
or wow?
Am I about to switch my
I mean,
pick?
yeah, I could look. So, yeah, Seahawks. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I mean, technically, if you want to go back to 2013 and you just include the second game, they're like 2-12, I think. So
I'm still going to take the +3.
they did not beat the Seahawks from 2014 or 2013 the 2013 playoffs till 2018. They did not beat them. 2018 was the first year they beat them in that span.
You didn't pick them to win, right? You have them covering +3. So
Yeah, which is kind of I'm going to let it ride.
Yeah, I'm taking Seahawks -3.
all right. Dallas and Philly, which is for some reason the Sunday night football game. Philly -7.5, -320 money line. Dallas +260. Over under 43.5.
Listen, both teams suck. Okay, you hammer. Go ahead.
I will take Philly -7.5. They're giving +100 odds on that right now. I think Ben DiNucci is going to be the quarterback for the Cowboys, at least for this game. Even if they were to bring in somebody because of the COVID protocols, they would not be able to start this game. So it's going to be Ben DiNucci for at least 1 week. I'll take Philly to cover 7.5.
I'm doing the exact same thing. You're going to Philadelphia. Philadelphia can at least, I feel like, be somewhat competent on their own turf. And the Cowboys just blow. Let's just be real. They're terrible. You lost by how much to a team that doesn't even have a name? They're so bad. They're going to lose by like 50. Okay, not 50, but they'll probably lose by like double digits.
I took the Eagles money line. I'm not confident enough in the Eagles to cover a touchdown.
Yeah, I mean they're below 500 as well. For
Lost by 22 to the Washington football team. You suck.
Yeah.
Imagine betting that alternate spread and giving the Redskins that many points, like to cover that many points.
Wonder what that would have been.
I have no idea. And the last game of the week is going to be Tampa Bay and the New York Giants. They're giving Tampa Bay 10.5 points here. They're -500 on the money line. New York +385, and the over/under is set at 47.
Tampa Bay's rolling, so I feel like I got to take them -10.5.
Yeah, that's what I have as well.
It's also what I have. I mean, the Giants stink too. Again, one of the worst teams in football. They're in the worst division in football.
Seems like Gronk is being more back than he was for.
Has anybody made the NFC least joke yet?
No.
The Giants could have beat the Eagles though.
Yeah,
that's why I couldn't give the Eagles a point, because the Giants should have beat them probably.
But I think with the Cowboys quarterback situation, they're going to be even worse.
Yeah.
Then.
Yeah.
Gronk had 5 catches for 62 yards and a touchdown. Is he back?
He looks okay. Yeah. I mean, obviously, he's not going to ever be what he was in New England.
Yeah, no.
Well, he said something about like he lost numbness in his right arm. He scored a touchdown and just like lost feeling. I said lost
in New
numbness.
England.
I meant he lost feeling in his right arm, so he had to spike the ball with his left hand.
Was that this year or in New England?
This year.
Oh. Huh. I mean, that's got to be either this touchdown this week or last week.
Yeah, it was last week then.
Okay.
Okay, so most confident and least confident. Also that Tampa Bay -10.5. That's gonna be a hammer too.
All right, so which one of your hammers is the most confident?
I think that one. I think my most confident is gonna be Tampa covering 10.5.
My most confident, I'm doing it again. Steelers money line. We're not losing. I don't get why people have this in their head that we could lose to this game.
It's because of the second half of this. If all that crap didn't go wrong in the second half and we didn't start getting complacent, we would have blew the Titans out, and then the Steelers would be favored in this game.
Listen, I said like 3 weeks ago the Steelers are sweeping the Ravens, and I am not going back on that whatsoever. So we are winning this game. My
least confidence going to be I picked Denver money line. as my upset for the week. I think I'm going to start throwing one upset in there, but I'm also going to cover myself by saying that's my least confident. That way I don't look that stupid if it doesn't happen.
Yeah, my least confident is the Colts money line.
Mine is going to be the Chiefs under 48.
Okay. I feel relatively confident about the Jets covering that too, honestly.
Did you guys say you're most confident yet?
Yeah, Tampa
Sneezed and I
Bay.
muted my mic.
Tampa
Okay.
Bay minus 10.5 is my most confident.
My most confident will be the Packers covering the 6.5.
Okay.
Yeah, mine was the Steelers. So
I like it.
And did you guys get yours last week?
Yeah, both actually. Where's my paper? So
I
my
got-
most confident was over 55.5 for Seattle and Arizona. That happened. And my least confident was New England to cover against San Fran. And there was a reason that was my least confident. It didn't happen.
my most confident was the Steelers money line. It happened. Least confident was the Panthers to cover the 7.5 points, and it ended up happening.
Yeah. My least confident was the 49ers to win on the money line. That happened. And then my most confident is tonight, the Bears to cover that 6.
So what records will we have if
Bear down.
the Rams and the Bears picks pan out? Because if I get my bet, which is under 44.5, I will be 8-6 on the week.
I'll either be, if it goes over 44.5, I'll be 9-5. If it goes under 44.5, I will be 8-6. And like I said, my most confident happened, and my least confident, there was a reason it was my least confident, is because New England did not cover. So
Yeah,
Kind
I'll
of
be
a-
8-6 or 7-7, depending on tonight.
10-4. First double digit prediction correct if that happens.
I did
So
pretty well.
You'll
on
be
FanDuel.
9-5 the other way. Yeah.
10-4 if the Bears cover the 6, or I'll be 9-5. if they
Okay.
don't. So
Yeah, Pat's pick on FanDuel happened, so that won me some money. Then there was another boost that I bet on as well that involved the Seattle Arizona game. I can't remember what it was, but that hit as well. So it's a pretty good day yesterday on FanDuel, honestly.
if you watch, like he was 5-0 on Hammer Down the past.
Yeah, I was watching the show today and they kept showing the clip over and over again.
Yeah.
All right, well, anything else?
Do we think that Jared Goff will throw for 300 yards and the Rams win?
Is that the boost tonight?
Oh, there's 3 boosts. So there's that one. There's also over 54.5 total points scored. So that's even 10 points ahead of what I have or what you have. And then David Montgomery to score a touchdown and the Bears to win.
Oh,
That's a good one.
That's plus 450. The over 54.5 is plus 360. And the Jared Goff to throw 300 yards and Rams win is plus 360.
I wouldn't
plus
do
450. Is it a max bet of 50?
Yeah.
Montgomery?
Yeah.
that. I'd put 50 on that one.
Yeah. So $50 return gets you $225.
Interesting. I am probably going to put some money on that. I don't know about 50, but all right. Well, anyway, I will tell you guys about Keats Barbershop real quick. Keats Barbershop's an old-fashioned barbershop. It's located at 180 Brighton Avenue in Rochester, PA. He's open 11 to 7 Tuesday through Friday, 9 to 4 on Saturday. Every Tuesday, he does $5 off for military personnel, first responders, and nurses. Again, that's Keats Barbershop, 180 Brighton Avenue in Rochester, PA. Other than that, thanks for listening to Around the 412. This has been a presentation of Crowworthy, where winners are serving winners, coast to coast with sports, gambling, and more. Don't forget to follow us on Twitter at Around the 412, them at Crowworthy, and visit the Pittsburgh City page at crowworthy.com for podcasts such as this one, blogs, gambling advice. Although, I mean, you can get your gambling advice right here, honestly, and more. Other than that, thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. We'll talk to you next time. Bye-bye.